So part of my life as a stay-at-home dad is making sure things stay organized and that I stay on top of all the projects that I need to stay on top of. And if there's one thing that drives me crazy, it's when somebody asks me to do something, whether that's something as simple as hang a picture or build something for them or fix something around the house. And I have to come out into the garage and do an hour or an hour and a half worth of cleaning before I can get to the tools that I need to do the project. So today we're gonna take you through not only my garage, but the couple of sheds that we have out back, because without the sheds, the garage don't work, and show you some organizational tips from this guy who also happens to be a little bit OCD. So let's get into it. We'll show you what's inside of each of these little bins, how I stay organized. And let me tell you, this is not gonna be one of those organizing videos that you see, which I love, by the way, where we use a Cricut machine to make everything fancy, and that ain't gonna work. That doesn't work for me because I don't got that kind of time and I don't got that kind of money. This is like Costco, Home Depot level organization. So let's jump into it. So this is the back wall of my garage, and this is what we, I guess, affectionately refer to as the backstock area. In order to keep the inside of the house clean, we like to have certain things kind of backstocked that we use regularly, but I don't want necessarily getting super dusty or just out in the regular garage. So let's take a look inside of these, and we'll see what's in there and how we keep that a little bit more dialed. And we'll go kind of bin by bin. So this is the food backstock. Now, I live in Southern California. The garage does get a little bit warm. It probably, in the peak of summer, is like 110 inside the garage. So that's something you need to keep in mind if you're keeping liquids out here or perishables. But this is the stuff that we use on a regular basis, but I don't need to keep inside the house things such as, extra pasta, because those you can kind of buy in bulk or they're like $1 or $2 a box. I use a lot of spices and peppers and salts, so I keep all the extras that I'm not using out here. And these bins have worked really, really well for us. My wife and I invested in these. These are a Target purchase. If I have a link to these, I'll drop a link in the description. But we just went to Target. They all stack on top of each other. Some of them are drawers, right? And they move all, and they work all together. You have bigger drawers, smaller drawers. You can kind of configure it any way you like. And again, I like things to be, for the most part, in containers. We overbought ketchup. Look at how many ketchups we have. This was an accident. My wife and I do this a lot. And it was an accident. But one of our daughters eats a lot of ketchup. Ironically, nobody else in the family does. So let me back up out of the way and I'll tell you what we got going on here. So here's a little bit more of a close-up look. And yes, this isn't as organized as it could be, but you see, again, some of us are a little OCD and we like to face our packages. I worked at a supermarket throwing grocery, and you got to dress and face the product. So these are pretty industrial. The actual shelves I got from, I think, Home Depot, we just invested in these 3 because they fit exactly how I needed them to. Lots of coffee over here. And again, stuff that really I'm not too worried about being perishable. A lot of the snacks and cracker type stuff. And you move to the bottom, and we store all our sodas and or the stuff that's going to be a little bit heavier. And for those of you that noticed and are going to ask, this is my sticker wall. My wife let me put my stickers on the inside so you can't see them. But I just collect stickers from all the places our family goes or things that I've done in my life, and that's super fun. Let's move on to the next set of shelves, and then we'll look up at the top. Those are magnetic. They close really super nice. Now, these just got reorganized. Now, in all fairness, this was very little changed. I just had to reorganize a couple of things. And this is like the cleaning aisle, right? So we keep all our chemicals and anything that I need to clean with right here. Again, backstock or things that you're going to keep in bulk, such as Swiffers when you use them, single edge facing outboard. These are important organizational. What does that mean? It means when you stack your towels or anything, single edge, not double edge. You don't stack it this way. Come on now. right? Single edge facing outboards, easy to grab. Pro tip here, if you did not know this, microfiber cloths need to be washed only with themselves. You shouldn't wash them with any other linen. It helps them retain their microfiberness and their ability to suck up liquids. When you wash them with everything else, they end up getting worn out a little bit quicker. And this one is just really like paper goods. And obviously, right, I live in a house full of women. We go through a lot of toilet paper and paper towels. And then we have a backstock, bins. Bins are my favorite things ever, I think. But my backstock of first aid. I do happen to be a paramedic, or I was in a past life. And so I have a jump bag inside, but I like to keep all the backstock for that in here. Little bath supplies, extra loofahs, travel-sized kind of stuff that we like to keep in here. Toothbrushes, you know, obviously it's labeled. It's real easy to figure out here and real easy to see. Plastic bags. I hate these things, but my wife will not let me throw them away. Or don't. So we keep a handful of them because we sell a lot of stuff. And you're going to see that in a minute. Candles. We do not use candles very often, but they're good to have. This is really more like along the lines of fire sticks because we use those. I do a lot of barbecuing, so these pans are a huge asset in our friends. We use those all the time. To-go containers because, again, I'm OCD. I hate when I have other people's containers just laying around the house that I got to return at some point. So I just give them ones that they can keep and they can throw them away. These are really pretty cheap, you know, so if the family comes over, they can use that stuff. And we keep extra forks because we like to host when we can and have barbecues. Again, California, so we can have barbecues literally all year round. And some backstock of big crock pot stuff we don't use every day. The vacuum sealer doesn't need to be in the house, but is there when we need it. So again, now this is just how I keep my life. I do not label things such as the shelf. I don't label the shelf. I don't label the tops of bins. And if I do label a bin, it's in something that I can take off, like painter's tape here. There's a reason behind that because these bins change very often. Unfortunately, when you start labeling things and etching things into the side of things, it makes it so you're really pigeonholed into keeping those things what they are. And these bins change. They change the location. They change what is inside of them. But you'll see up here, I have some of my extra garage stuff, drop cloths, paint supplies, tape, and personal protective equipment. All the, you know, gloves, masks, eye protection. Light bulbs. Do you have a light bulb container? I do, because guess what? We have a lot of light bulbs. They burn out a lot. It's super easy to come out here and grab those. And you can see just a few of the extra things that we keep out here in the garage. All our charcuterie stuff, and then just some random coolers. I do have a cooler problem for those of you that, well, you wouldn't have seen them. I like to have a cooler in every size. Not gonna lie, there's one more cooler that I don't have, and I'm not gonna buy it. But it's perfect. But see, you know, you need to be prepared. All right, so let's move over to the tool section and we'll show you a little bit about what's over there. All right, so this is my wall. I love my wall. This is called a French cleat system, and I'll give you a close-up here in just a minute. The garage, like I said, it needed to be reorganized, so we did that this week. In Southern California, even though I'm filming this in July, it has been unseasonably cool, like all morning until like noon. It's been overcast, and that's a great time to clean the garage out because I needed to do that. And my wife is home for the summer, so she can help me with some of the decisions I need to make about boxes and what goes in there. But part of that was reorganizing this tool wall. The beauty of a French cleat system, and I'll show you in a minute, is you can lift them up and move things where you need. But I added on a whole nother 4-foot section of the wall and shifted everything over here a little bit. So we're gonna give you a close-up just like what we did of what we keep here and what is readily accessible, because I like to have it accessible. I don't wanna have to guess when I am gonna do a project or where my tool is or whether my batteries are charged. So let me flip the camera, or let me get behind the camera and show you a little bit more about what's going on. All right, so this whole section here is all tools and tool-based stuff. We'll move my old school shop. I literally got that from an old shop teacher. He had a bunch of them, and so I took one. So these are all the tools I use on a regular basis. I don't do plumbing and I don't do electrical work. I'm colorblind, and plumbing and electrical work are things that can burn your house down or flood it out, and you can't see it until it's too late. So I don't do that stuff. But I like to keep the extra little supplies that I have, again, nice and labeled. I'm actually gonna build a rack for all these in the near future, so they'll just slide out. That's really easy to do. So there's no reason that I shouldn't have that going on. But you know, caulking, electrical, flooring, little tools that I've come up with, little extra stuff, air supplies, dumb stuff I can't get rid of, right? So just all the little dumb stuff that is not worth throwing away, I put in there. Manuals and receipts. If you do not have a box in your garage full of manuals and receipts for Home Depot, Lowe's, for all your major appliances, you're messing up, man. Just have it right there because I can't tell you the amount of times I access that. Right? Little bike stuff if you have bikes and kids in your life. And then tiny little things, right? So these are all full of, I actually have 2 more on the way because you'll see it in a minute, but little things that I'm going to carry around the house. This is nails. I have an entire one full of like picture hangers. Let's see. So these things hang pictures and little wires, and it's locked on the back here. Drywall. There's no reason to be running around looking for screws that need drywall anchors. They're all right here. You can carry these things around with you, and it makes it super easy, right? You can stick them in your little bucket or your little, and I'm going to show you that in a minute. Some extra tools that you're going to need to just do work around the house. This is a shop vac, battery operated shop vac. If you can't tell already, I am a huge DeWalt fan. This one's actually going to be going away soon because it's empty. We'll shift it over and put something else here. Tech. This is another box you need in your house. What is in a tech box? Cables, chargers, anything computer related that you're going to end up needing. And indoor extension cords, right? My outdoor extension cords you're going to see in a minute out in the shed because that's where they need to be. I don't really use them around here. And then I have an entire box full of like just little paints and oils and stuff like that I'm going to need. And all my glues, you know, again, pencils, things that you're going to need for project, little shop rags that you can mop things up with. It's all right here, single edge outboard. It's all right here, really easily accessible, and it's not really that hard to do. All you got to do is spend 10 minutes folding it, and then it's done. We just moved this over. I'm going to finish this. I'm going to put a little removable shelf here, essentially, and that'll for sure help. Now, I built all this to be specific to my needs, the height I wanted it to be, and the wall is about 7 sheets of plywood. Now, I told you this is a French cleat system. We have batteries here. Some of these batteries are in use with well-labeled screws and nails and whatever you might need. These are all Craig jig, nails, drill and driver sets. Everything's easy to get to because I'm not a contractor. So the fact that I'm not a contractor means I don't need to be working out of the back of my truck. When I'm doing a job, if I'm helping a friend, I can just throw all this stuff in a couple of the bags that I have and use that. But here's the beauty of the French cleat system is that it moves. This one's gonna be super heavy. So let me find one that's not quite as heavy up here. So these all move. They have a little cleat on the back, right? And this one's at a 45 also, so I can move it anywhere. So that's what I did just recently. You can build any of the cleats you want. I have a few that I still need to build. But it's not that hard, folks. Put a little bit of time in. Anybody can do this. I learned to do woodworking and to build stuff like this by watching YouTube. I'm not gonna lie. And I built some tools or acquired some tools that help me do that. So I have a drawer with gloves in it because that's something I use on a regular basis. Gloves and eye protection because my eyes are real super sensitive. An entire tape drawer because let's be honest, folks, you need a tape drawer and you need lots of different types of tape to do different jobs. And this is just random stuff, glue guns, sandpaper, stuff like that. And then tables. What goes down here, they're in use right now in the backyard, you'll see, but I have 2 work tables. Those tables are designed for work and for work only. On that back wall, I have a little bit of power and just random stuff that's too big to fit into a container. All right, we continue with this. This little workbench is movable. It's on wheels, so I roll it out onto the driveway. My workspace is usually out on the driveway, which is why I do not have a dust collection system. But it also lines exactly up. This is the same exact height as the tailgate of my truck. So I can use the tailgate of my truck in cahoots with this workbench. It rolls all over the place, and this thing is solid. If you're a woodworker at all, you know I could park my truck on top of that and it ain't going anywhere. And I've slammed away on that. And then all just the movable tools that you might need. Now, like I said, I work mostly out on my garage, kind of out on my driveway. So when I blow off the dirt, I blow it off into my grass. So all these things are movable. They're all on wheels. My shop moves around very easily, and that is fantastic. I love that about my garage. You always need an easy up because I put this up all the time. Now these bikes, I love them and I hate them at the same time. They are huge. They take up the most amount of space and we use them the least. But this is where they are. If you line them up, everything stays nice. I just built this rack about 6 months ago behind it. And this is a custom built rack to hold exactly what you see. You can't see a ton of it, but they hold all these little containers. They hold 4 wide. And there's a lot of books in here, wrapping paper, things that I want to have access to. I don't want to put outside, but I needed a spot to keep it all. Now, as we continue to walk around, you're going to laugh. This is the clearance rack here. So I had to build this because I was getting annoyed. My family knows we sell a lot of things on, say, Facebook Marketplace and stuff like that, or donate them, give them away. And we got to have a place to store all that. And it just was like getting piled up out here. So I built this little rack. It is on wheels, so I can roll it out of my way if I need to access all those things behind it. But anything that's going to get sold, we're working on a real big sales thing right now. Just kind of fire sale, clearing it all out for cheap because we got to do that. And it's got to go. As soon as these big bags go, everything will be a little bit more well organized on the clearance aisle here. So if you see something you want, comment below. Just kidding, but not really. All right, so now in order to make this happen, and we'll give you the spin now. By the way, I didn't show you upstairs here. It's not upstairs, but just the rafters because there was no reason to really do that. But I'll give you a swing around there. That's all Christmas gifts. Those are up in the, or not gifts. Christmas decorations are up in the rafters on that side. And then just random stuff that's up there, like my coolers, extra carpet, stuff that I'm really honestly never going to use. But all the holiday supplies are all up there. But that's a quick look at the garage. It's really not hard to organize those things. Like I said, this is a Home Depot and Costco level organizational job here that you can do yourself. These are super easy to build. 2x4s are cheap. Plywood really isn't that bad either. The French cleat wall takes a little bit more work and effort, but there's some great videos on that you can if you have any woodworking experience at all, or just build your own racks. These ones I've had for like decades, the old Costco racks here. So I keep them. There's no reason to get rid of them. But as soon as I'd rather build my own. I'd rather make them custom. But if you don't have the ability to do that, you can get stuff like this. Close the doors. They look all nice. Keep everything labeled. And you're good to go. Now, in order to make that happen, the garage that you just walked through, the rest of the house also kind of has to be a little bit neater and cleaner too, because you just can't fit everything in there. Not if you're going to use it regularly and you want to keep it organized without just piling up everything in the middle. And we don't just pile up everything in the middle. We don't have tons and tons of space. We have plenty of space. I'm not complaining, but I don't have a gigantic garage. So I had to add some sheds when we moved in here. And we're going to take a quick look at these sheds because those have to be organized also. And you might want to think about what you want to keep outside and in a shed or inside in the garage where it's going to get a little less dusty, maybe a little bit less heat. So let's open the doors and take a look at what's inside. Now these sheds really, again, I would have liked to build my own, but my skill level is not that high at this point. And I wanted it to be something that we could tear down in the future because I don't really want this up here forever. When the kids grow up and move out, I'll have a lot more space in the garage, to be honest with you. So these sheds are really nice. It really wasn't that expensive. It was easy to put up in about an hour or two, and it holds a lot of stuff. All my extra barbecue equipment. We live in Southern California. We get a decent amount of power outages, so we keep the generator inside. Here's all the extra. I told you about this before. All my outdoor extension cords and the cords that use the generator and power that all up. But it's really not hard to keep things well organized, and so you can see them. These top little bins are full of funny things. This is a little turtle collection because I love turtles. I just haven't gotten rid of it yet. I should, because I don't need it, but I haven't. Again, the reason that I store these this way is so they don't fall all over the place. I don't do a ton of gardening regularly, so it's not like I'm accessing these things, accessing them regularly, but I just built a little thing that just literally just holds them in there. You know, all my random axes, shovels, rakes, and it doesn't take much space at all. All the extra paint that you might have, it gets stored out here. Does that make it bad? It might, but it's not really much hotter in here than it would be in the garage. I like to keep all the like chemicals and fertilizer and stuff outdoors in this shed with things that aren't really gonna matter a whole lot. Sprinkler repair stuff and irrigation. You know, vases, because I live in a house full of 4 women. We use vases a lot. Little party stuff that we just hang up. You know, this is happy birthday. There's no reason to rebuy one of those every week. Just keep it out here. So this shed is really pretty simple. Extra rope, extra spare barbecue equipment, like gloves and stuff like that. And then I like to keep my wood inside. This is wood that I want to use for future projects. And if you leave it outside, it's going to end up looking like that piece of wood right there. And we don't want that. So we keep all our wood stacked in here somewhat nicely. And let's walk over while I have you this way. And we'll walk over to the sheds on the side of the house. Now, these are my least favorite sheds, but they are necessary. They just are. It's that simple. And that makes me sad. But as you can see, this is my arm. There's not a ton of space here. Probably about 2 feet to walk, but they fit, right? So I had to add these when we moved in because, like I said, there just ain't enough space. So this first shed here, has the stuff we use all the time. These would just be chairs. Chairs take up a ton of space. Beach chairs and extra tables that we might use for, you know, to bring somewhere, to use at a party, whatnot. Shed number 2 here is just full of bins. Again, well labeled, right? You don't have to be tearing through the whole house to find things. Travel towels and sheets. This is things that have to be returned to our charter school. You know, children's books that we don't need anymore for little kids because my kids are too old for these now, but we're going to use them again in the future. No reason to throw them out. Old photos and photo albums. They do just fine in here. Everything is well labeled and stacked up nicely. This is my playing card collection. This I will send to you if you want to buy it. There's about 400 decks left, and I'm looking to sell them so I can buy a guitar. Let's look at the third one. All right, the third and the last shed, we have our Christmas tree hanging out here, right? Now, I don't worry about rain. Every once in a while, a little bit of moisture gets in here if it rains really hard and it rains in sideways. But we live in Southern California, and it doesn't rain. So these are all covers. It does get really windy. But during the winter, I cover the barbecues and the table and the chairs out there. And then we keep all the extra sleeping bags in here. And these are important. So these 3 big yellow bins right here, that is what my children get. They each get one. Everything they want to keep from the time they were born is in there. They're about half full now, but they don't really get a whole bunch more space than that because I don't have more space than that. And let's be honest, folks, do you need more stuff than that? So that's a quick look at Steve's organizational system. Yes, I'm a little OCD. That's okay. It ends up working out really good for my family. But I like to have things organized as I can. But this isn't so organized that you can't do it yourself. You don't need a Cricut. You don't need to go spend $10,000 at the Container Store, which we love, by the way, to get a nicely organized home and to keep things looking good, right? Look at all my barbecues in the back. So that's it. Now, I will say, I always joke with my kids, if I'm ever on an episode of Hoarders, it's going to be because I have hoarded containers. And it turns out that that's true. These are all containers that will probably be going away because they're no longer used. It's always good to have a couple extra. And then right behind me, again, is the clearance aisle. This is the outdoor clearance aisle. There's some camping gear because we don't do a ton of that anymore, and stuff like that that needs to be sold. Because if it hasn't been touched in a year or two, my friends, what are you doing holding on to it? Why are you keeping that? Get rid of it, and sell it, make a few bucks, and clean up your house, clean up your life, get things a little bit organized. Let me tell you, it might just make you feel better. I understand there's some people that really, really struggle with that. Call a friend like me to help you come organize your house. I hope this video has encouraged you, honestly, to how easy it can be to be organized and to get things organized, and maybe to do it yourself, because it doesn't have to be hard. You don't have to go crazy and have everything exactly the same in your house and have a label maker and have everything fit just really nicely in a bin. That is why I don't label the bins with anything other than tape, because I relabel these bins on the regular, because we run out of one type of food and I fill it with another type of food, or we use a different type of coffee. Well, when you labeled it, you start running into some tricks. Hey, if you have any questions about what you see, or any more organizational tips you think I might have that I might be able to share with you, let me know down in the comments. Have a great day.